Here we go. First and foremost, this is the recipe book that I love to use. I go by basic guidelines. This says to use 4 tablespoons of salt per 12 pounds of cabbage. We're gonna start with 12 pounds, but I think I can fit more in the crock. And then I think this time I'm gonna make it with some caraway seeds. I've done that before and that is delicious. The recipe that's in here also calls for sour apples, but I do not have any sour apples. So we're just gonna do it with the cabbage, the caraway seeds, and the salt. Here we go. So I always take the inside out. I'm gonna keep these pieces though, because the chickens love these. As you can see, I also kept the outer leaves, because I end up using one of these leaves to cover the crock of kraut when I'm done. But also the rest of it's gonna go to the chickens. I'd like to give it to the turkeys, but they're picky eaters, so I usually end up giving everything to the chickens because the turkeys will just leave it in their pen and let it go to waste. It doesn't always happen, but I generally like to start, especially big projects like this, with a fairly clean kitchen. So in the background, you may hear my dishwasher running. You may also hear my bread maker running. That's just the noise of this house. I'm surprised you actually don't hear Derby barking right now, because that's normally what's going on. I'm gonna check the weight on this. All right, so I'm at 6.5 pounds. So I've got about half of what I wanted to make done so far. Since I know this one's 6 pounds, I'm not gonna add any more to it just yet. All right, let's see where we are. I currently have 6.5 pounds. Let's see how much more this is. I doubt it's even 6 pounds. It's not all gonna fit in this bowl. Three. Oh, let's take a little bit out. Not that much. 3. 4. Maybe. Not quite. Yes, 4. We're gonna call that 4. So I have 2 more pounds to go. But before I do that, I'm running out of space in my bowl. So I think at this point I'm gonna get back to 6 pounds in my bowl and go ahead and start putting some salt in it so that the brine can begin. I like to let the cabbage sweat before I start pounding it in the crock, because then I'm gonna be pounding all day if I do it immediately. Okay, so I have my 6 pounds here. Recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of salt, pickling salt, and half a tablespoon for 12 pounds. So since I only have 6 pounds right now, I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of pickling salt. And then I'll be honest, I love caraway seed. So I'm gonna do a full teaspoon right now, and then I'll do a full teaspoon with the other 6 pounds. So I'll actually be doing, I'm gonna be doing 2 teaspoons now and 2 teaspoons later. So I'll be going with a little bit more than a tablespoon's worth. And I'm just gonna mix it in. Do you like caraway seed in your sauerkraut? Let me know in the comments. Do you even like sauerkraut? I'd love to know. If there's any other different types of additives that you like in your sauerkraut, let me know in the comments. I may give something else a try. So I'm gonna mix this in really good so that all of my cabbage gets that salt on it. Let it start doing its sweating. I can already feel the cabbage getting wet. That's awesome. All right, so this is gonna sit aside and we're gonna continue chopping. Okay, so I only need about 2 pounds. I think these cabbages have been averaging about 1 to 1.5 pounds per cabbage. So I'm gonna do 2 more cabbages and see what we get. If we have a little more than 12 pounds, I'm okay with that. All right, I'm gonna get a good weight on this and see where we are. Okay, so this has been cleaned. I rinsed it out really good with vinegar and water. I do always tend to clean it after I'm done with it, but I do live in the desert and it has been sitting in a closet for close to 2 years. So I went ahead and gave it a good rinse. Again, scrubbed it really good with some vinegar. I also soaked my weights with vinegar. I got my last 6 pounds of cabbage chopped up. I went ahead and put my 2 tablespoons of salt in it. I did only put 1 more tablespoon, or teaspoon, forgive me, another teaspoon of caraway seed in it. I think 1 tablespoon of caraway seed for 12 pounds should be plenty. I'm gonna start with 12 pounds in this, but the last time I did this by weight, I was able to fit closer to 15 pounds. So let's see what we can get. And if I can fit 15 pounds, that's what I'm gonna put in here because I have enough cabbage for that. I prefer to pound my cabbage to get my brine rather than making a backup brine. So it takes a lot of work to get this pounded down so that you have enough brine in it. Yeah, that cabbage has been brining for probably about 10 minutes now. It's good and wet. I'm excited to get this in there. So I've got it about, I don't know, probably a quarter of the way full. Here we go. Derby doesn't like the sound of the pounding, so you may hear him barking through this. Look at this face, y'all. Somebody's being shy. That's not normally the case. Okay, so my brine is not covering the cabbage just yet, but there is definitely some juice in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of straighten it out some. That's just my personal preference. And then I'm gonna go ahead and scoop some more in there. Woo, brining sauerkraut is a workout. I'm beginning to feel the tenderness in this cabbage, so I'm gonna add some more. Woo, my arm is starting to hurt. All right, here we go to more pounding again. But before we do, somebody wanted to come say hi. Say hi, Moose. Look at that cuteness. He's always such a joy to have around. Oh guys, my brine's not surfacing yet, but I sure am feeling it with each pound that I do on this cabbage. That's always a rewarding feeling because this is such hard work. So when you start finally feeling like your work is getting you somewhere, you really enjoy it. Whew. Another quick scoop. Ooh, y'all, there's officially 6 pounds of cabbage in the crock. I'm just gonna dump this into my bigger bowl real quick so that I can give it another quick stir and start this on the brining process. That cabbage is already starting to sweat really good. Here we go to pounding again. It smells so good. I smell the caraway seeds and it's already starting to smell like sauerkraut. All right, I'm gonna give the rest of this cabbage a few more minutes to sit in the salt and brine, as well as I'm gonna give the cabbage that's in this crock a few minutes to continue sweating and seeing if I can get my brine to start surfacing, and we'll be back to finish it. All right, everyone, we're back. It's been about, a little more than 10 minutes. My arm needed the rest as well. The cabbage that's in this bowl is looking nice and wet. And it looks like I'm starting to get some brine. Oh, I'm getting excited, y'all. I see the brine. That is good news. Let's get another scoop of cabbage in there. Oh, look at that brine. Oh, I know you just saw that sling out at me. But all for a beautiful reason. Look at that brine. See if I can get you guys a better view of the brine. Ah, that's so exciting. That is mission accomplished with all of this pounding, when I can finally start seeing that juice surfacing. Now I'm starting to get enough cabbage in here where I've got to start working it to where most of the cabbage is settling under the brine before I add more cabbage, because I want to be sure that I have enough brine to cover all of the cabbage before I set this aside to ferment. All right, I got a good brine layer in there. I failed to mention this earlier. I do season my pounder before and after every kraut scenario. I just season it with black walnut oil. Just a little bit on there. But it definitely keeps that pounder looking really good. Oh, there's a lot of juice in the bottom of this bowl. That's exciting. Once I pour the last of this cabbage in there and that juice in there, it's gonna make the last little bit of this pounding really easy. Oh yeah, I will be putting another 3 pounds in here. Do you see that brine? Oh, that's so beautiful. Hard work paying off right there. So I'm not pounding it quite as much anymore because the brine keeps squishing me in the face. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop up 3 more pounds of cabbage. I do feel like after all of this work, I might as well go ahead and fill up this crock as much as I can. That's what usually ends up happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those last 3 pounds chopped up, and I'm gonna get another tablespoon of salt put in it, and then I'm gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and you guys can help me finish up with pounding the rest of the cabbage and getting the weights on and putting this away. Alright y'all, I'm back. I've got a little over 3 pounds of cabbage here. So I did a tablespoon and a pinch more of salt. And then I'll be honest, I did put a pinch of caraway seed in here. It wasn't fair for this cabbage to not have caraway as well. It's good and sweaty. I've got a nice little brine going on in here. We're gonna go ahead and finish this up. Alright, I feel pretty good about it. Now the really important part here is that you want to make sure that every bit of your cabbage is covered by the brine, because the brine is what keeps it fermenting without molding. Alright, so I found a couple of really nice sized leaves. Cover up as much of that as I can. I like to eliminate floaties as much as possible. Tear at the top of this, just so that it'll fit in there a little bit better. All right. And then here comes the true test. These weights have to cover the cabbage in the brine. The weights need to be fully submerged in the brine as well, so that you can be sure that all of the cabbage is covered. Give it a good push. Looks pretty good. All right, get my top on. Let me clean out this brim real quick. And the cool thing about this crock is specifically made for fermentation. And the cool thing about this crock is it has this nice little lip in it, so that when you put your top on, you fill the lip up with water. This way it allows the carbon dioxide that's building up inside the crock to release without letting oxygen in, so that you're still getting that appropriate fermentation as you do in most other things. So I've got it filled to where I can see the water. In about 4 to 6 weeks, we'll check and see what it looks like. Thanks for joining me, guys.